that these two particular funds be entrenched in the Constitution for purposes of protecting them, but also to elevate them and make them exist in posterity. But I think there's only one question that has been causing the problems that we have been going through, which is the role of members of parliament in the management of these two funds. And I think it should go on record that when anybody seeks an elective office, you go there on the basis of what we call a manifesto. You present your plan to the people. And once you do so, and they elect you, they give you the mandate to implement that very manifesto. That is the basis upon which leaders are given the power to exercise control of budgets, control of selecting programs, and control of deciding on what should be implemented and what is a priority. So I think that is the issue we should really look into. Yeah, the issue of mandate based on the manifestos that you get when you seek elective post. On gender parity, Mr. Speaker, I think the calculation should be 290 as opposed to 290 plus 47 plus. I think you cannot exercise affirmative action on affirmative number, which is the 47, yeah, members of parliament who are elected as affirmative action. So I think we should be calculating the deficit of the female members of parliament on the basis of the 290, which if you take 1/3 of 290, then you have 87. And then we should deduct the 47, which are already guaranteed, which leaves us with 40 seats. That is the number that we should be looking for at every election cycle. And then we have 12 nominated members of parliament. I think as a matter of rule, those should be preserved on a priority basis for female candidates, especially those who have run and become number 2 in their respective roles. That is what the political parties should do. And I don't think the political parties should have a big problem with this, because after all, they are private members' clubs, but which are funded by public funds. So they should be compelled to take certain actions. Private members, I mean, political parties are no different from Nairobi Club or from Gor Mahia Football Club. But in our case, they get funding from the exchequer. But if you add the 12, then the shortfall would be about 28. And again here, my view is that this 28 should be secured by political parties being required to issue direct nominations to 28 women on a prorated basis, depending on the strength of the parties, direct tickets to females in safe seats. That's how they do it in other jurisdictions. They are safe seats. Every party knows where the safe seats are. So in their nomination process, at least that number 28 should be prorated among political parties, and each should nominate women for elective contest in their safe seats. Now, let me go to the difficult ones. Mr. Speaker, on the CSs coming into Parliament, I think we are having a lot of confusion understanding what political systems we have. We have 3 major ones: parliamentary system, we have presidential system, and then we have a mixture, like in France or Tanzania, where there is a mixture of parliamentary and presidential system. I think in 2010 we made a very clear choice. Either we were going to have a pure presidential system, which we have, or we were going to have a parliamentary system. Those were the only 2 choices. The mixed mongrel that we had was the earlier Kilifi draft, which was not what we had in 2010. So in a parliamentary system, members of government come from parliament, but in a presidential system, they don't. And members of the executive, ministers, have no business coming to the House and being members and being on this floor. They should appear in committees where they should be interrogated. And if any member has a question for a cabinet secretary, you should appear there whether you are a member of that committee or not, as amicus, and interrogate that particular member of parliament. So I think the solution is in strengthening the rules of how committees function relative to ministers coming to answer questions when summoned by parliament, but not necessarily inviting them to be members. I think this will weaken the role of committee chairs. So I don't support that. Secondly, the leader of opposition is a misnomer. Since there is no opposition, we cannot have a leader of opposition in this house, since there is no opposition itself. Yeah, we can only have leader of majority, or we can only have leader of minority. And again, as I said, there's a constitutional logic. There's what the French call raison d'etre for all these systems. There's a reason, there's a logic from beginning to end. What we are trying to do is to cut and paste things. Yeah, and we are still suffering from the British hangover of the British parliamentary system, which is not what we should be discussing now. So we make a choice, as the Honorable Member Lagata said. Either we go back to parliamentary system and make it pure like in the British system, or we have a pure parliamentary system like what we have here, which is the American system. And I'm very suspicious when you want to institutionalize the role of leader of opposition. I see it being created as a preserve of some communities, and I'm very reluctant to support that. Yeah, I don't support that. So there's a very simple solution. In America, if you vie for elections and you lose even by one vote.
Calori Omondi, which community are you reading through this position?
I will only say certain communities have held the opposition role for a very long time. Others have not. Mr. Speaker, my reading of it is that we should
What is out of order, Honorable Jessica Mbalu?
Just give me the mic. Honorable Speaker, with all due respect, can the members substantiate which are these certain communities, as I want to support, of course, the debate, especially on the gender rule, two-third gender rule, and about the GAF and NGCDF. Which are these two communities?
Honorable Calori Omondi.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. I think one only has to look at the history of Kenya from 1963 to now, which communities have held the presidency and which ones have not. I don't have to explain it. It is there in black and white. You just have to look at the history, and you can count those who have had it and those who have not. So, Mr. Speaker, I think we need to clearly understand how presidential systems work. In a presidential system, you offer yourself as a candidate, again on the basis of a manifesto. When you are elected, you are given the mandate to implement your manifesto. That mandate is personal to the person called the president. And in the US, he exercises that authority himself. And that is why in those countries, the cabinet assists the president. In a parliamentary system, it is a bound mandate. Yeah, it is a collective mandate. You go as a group of parliamentarians and you seek the mandate. And when you win, yeah, you come to implement it. And the leader of that group, who is first amongst equal, called the prime minister, exercises that authority on behalf of others. And that is why it is government by cabinet. So I think, Mr. Speaker, we need to understand all these things and then agree that probably the best route to deal with these issues is first to have a national audit of the Constitution and have another convention to review what we need, instead of having piecemeal amendments here and there. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Order, honorable members. Honorable members, the time being 7:03 p.m., this House stands adjourned until Wednesday, the first day of March 2023 at 9:30 a.m.